Well, hi everybody, my name is Toby. I'm a co-host of the Zeitsprungbitcoin podcast, and I also go under the name of Bitcoin Guide because I'm a ski guide and I also teach Bitcoin in Switzerland. And the topic today is Bitcoin actually boiling the ocean? That's one of the main critics of Bitcoin, that it uses so much energy and the carbon footprint and all that stuff. So to answer the question, we first need to know what actually is energy. Most of the people don't know what energy is. Energy is the potential to do work. That's all it is. And if we put energy in something for an amount of time, we have done work. And that's what we are talking about. We are not talking about energy, we're talking about the work that Bitcoin is doing. And energy cannot be consumed. It cannot be destroyed and it cannot be created. It can only be transformed. And Bitcoin needs electrical energy. And one point of electrical energy is that it cannot be stored. There's no way of storing electrical energy. You can only transform it. If you have a battery, that's not storing electrical energy. That's making chemical energy out of electrical energy. But you have not stored the electrical energy. That does not work. And once you have created electrical energy, you need to use it. You cannot store it. Another thing that people don't really understand is when we talk about electricity, about energy consumption, we mostly talk about the electricity. But electricity is only 15% of the world's energy consumption. All the rest is fossil fuels for cars, for boats, for transportation, for heating. That's a really big issue, heating. So we only talk about 15% of the energy consumption of the world. And out of that, only 0.6% goes into Bitcoin. So we are talking about a really small amount of energy. So how high is the energy demand? That stuff I hear a lot. As much as Finland, too much. Energy that could be used somewhere else, or proof of stake is much better because it uses less energy. But let's do some comparison. Why is it that when I drive a Tesla, everyone is clapping their hands for the electrical energy I am using, but when I have a Bitcoin miner, they are all booing me for using electrical energy? That makes absolutely no sense, because there no CO2 comes out the car and there no CO2 comes out of the miner. It's just another perception. And if we go into the numbers, we see that Bitcoin uses around 150 terawatt hours per year of electrical energy. Streaming, YouTube, Spotify, Netflix uses 200 terawatt hours per year. So I don't know what's maybe more sensible to do. The banking system also uses more than the Bitcoin network, around 250 terawatt hours. And that does not include the heating for the buildings. That does not include the fuel for the cars, for the workers who come to work every day. That is just the electronics that is used in the bank. And a number that blew my mind is that AC, so air conditioning only in the USA uses 2,500 terawatt hours per year. So that's way more than the Bitcoin mining network. And nobody talks about that the Americans should stop cooling their homes. Nobody says that. So when we look at the energy mix, we have worldwide, we have an energy mix of about 80 to 20. So 80% is fossil fuels, coal, stuff like that, and 20% is renewable. In the Bitcoin mining network, we have 55% renewable and 45% fossil and other stuff. And that goes without any regulation telling the Bitcoiners to do so. They do it because it's better for their revenue. So why is it that Bitcoin uses so much renewable energy? First of all, Bitcoin seeks for the cheapest energy source in order to be competitive. Bitcoin mining is not location bound. I can go wherever I want with my Bitcoin miner. If I have a factory, I need to build it near a city where people can come to work. A Bitcoin miner I can put somewhere at a waterfall and get the energy from the waterfall, use it where it is. Now, energy transition is a big talking point in politics at the moment. So we need more renewable energy to achieve our goals from the Paris Agreement. And what I see often is this graph on the left. That's the orange box is the size of Germany. And if you would put solar power in that box, you could provide the whole world with energy. The problem is we cannot transport it. We cannot transport electrical energy over a long distance. We lose all of it. So, but what we can do at these locations is we can mine Bitcoin and transform this electrical energy into digital energy and send it all over the world without any problems. And the other thing we can do is we can change our electrical grid from big power plants to small local power plants. Everyone can have their own solar power on the roof, have a Bitcoin miner, and then get some revenue from it. And the third part is, if we want to achieve this energy transition, we need way too much energy. This graph here is, the black line is the energy need, and the colored patches are the energy production. And as you can see, we have overproduction and underproduction. And both is a big problem. Overproduction leads to blackouts, underproduction leads to blackouts. So what we need to do is we need to massively increase our renewable energies in order to always have a base load. But we also need something to consume the overproduced electricity. And that's where Bitcoin miners come into place. Because first of all, nobody will build a solar plant if he does not know that he can sell the electricity. That's a big money grave if you do that. But with Bitcoin mining, you always have a consumer of last resort that buys that energy or that uses that energy and transforms it into money. So that can help us stabilize the grid and make that change to renewable energies. Another point that people don't believe it when I tell them, Bitcoin mining can actually reduce greenhouse gases. What we see here is an oil rig, and what happens is that methane gas is extracted from Earth, and this methane has 25 times the impact of CO2 on our environment. So what happens is they burn it, but they only burn 0 to 90%. A lot of them don't burn anything at all. They just let it go in the atmosphere. They don't care. Those who burn it on an open flame, and that only burns around 90% of it. So 10% still goes in our atmosphere. What we can do is put a power plant there, a gas power plant, and that then burns 100% of the gas in a closed system. Companies don't do this because it costs money and there is nobody there to buy that energy, that electricity. But we can put miners there that use this energy to mine Bitcoin. And this is what happens already in Oman or in other countries. And there is also a video from the UN showing this under the label of data centers. And they show these data centers that are using this energy. But if you know a little bit about Bitcoin, you can clearly see that there are Bitcoin miners. But the UN, for sure, they don't talk about Bitcoin miners. What we also can do is we can reuse the heat of the miners. We have Bitcoin heaters over there. So we can use that energy that would otherwise be wasted for heating our homes, or for greenhouses, or for drying our clothes, or whatever you want to do with it. So why do we need all this energy to run Bitcoin? The miners have to solve math problems to add a new block to the blockchain. And the network will then audit that block. And the block gets rejected if it's fraudulent. This means if I want to add a fraudulent block, all the energy I put into it was wasted. So I lose a lot of money. So in the end, we have a monetary system that is backed by something you cannot create. So what protects the fiat system? That's what protects the fiat system. We have the petrodollar, and the petrodollar is heavily protected by military in the Middle East. It's nothing else. It's not because we all think the dollar is such a good currency, it's because they have the most military that we all have to use the dollar. And for comparison, a fighter jet uses 11 tons of CO2 per hour. That's what one European citizen uses per year. And now it's up to you to decide what's the better way of securing a monetary system. Do we use electrical energy, peaceful electrical energy, or do we use tanks and fighter jets? So what we hear a lot is, you can use proof of stake, uses much less energy and is as secure, which is wrong. So how does this work? The validators get chosen by the amount of currency they already have. So it's a power of money again, and that's what we already have. This leads to a centralization, and we have a monetary system that is backed by an infinite source, which is money. So cryptocurrencies or altcoins, shitcoins, it's just fiat on steroids, it's nothing else. Now, another thing that a lot of people don't consider is what happens if we have a deflationary monetary system like Bitcoin with our consumption. Because the fiat money, the money system we have, is the main reason for the climate crisis we have. Because with our monetary system, I can buy stuff I don't need with money I don't have to impress people I don't like. And that's what's happening every day. And Bitcoin just incentivizes saving. Before I was a Bitcoiner, I was broke always at the end of the month. I had a little bit of month at the end of the money, and now it's the opposite way. So when I saw something, I watched at my bank account. I can buy that. I buy it. Or there is a little bit of limit on my credit card. I just buy it. Why should I save money if that money loses its value over time? And with Bitcoin, I have a money that I know it will increase value over time, so I buy less shit. And buying less shit also means doing something for the environment. So in conclusion, we can say mining uses stranded renewable energy. It subsidizes renewable energies. The heat can be reduced. And we have a protection by energy that is better than a protection by war. And Bitcoin reduces meaningless consumption. And one thing I want to state is Bitcoin is on its way to carbon zero, not carbon neutral. That's a big difference. Carbon neutral means I can put waste out in the environment, I can put CO2 out in the environment and then buy a CO2 certificate to make up for it. That is, if I say, yes, I do hit my wife, but I also pay for a doctor. That's the same thing. So it's a useless argument. And Bitcoin is on its way to carbon zero. So in that matter, Bitcoin is definitely not boiling the oceans. Thank you very much.